Travel at low cost with points and miles. Credit card rewards bring the smiles. Many adventures, tales to be told. Make and save money, the world will unfold. Fight the war on happiness, pick up the gold. Hurdy Gurdy Travel Podcast breaks the mold.
You're listening to the Hurdy Gurdy Travel Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Vacula, here to help you make money, save money, and travel the world at next to no cost with credit card points, miles, benefits, and loyalty programs. Thanks for joining me for today's episode, Alaska Airlines upcoming premium credit card. This is a promising credit card many should be eager to apply for because of a strong welcome offer and ongoing value through benefits. Visit meetup.com/Philly miles and points to RSVP for monthly Greater Philadelphia travel credit miles and points meetups I host in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania. The next meetup is August 24th, 2025. Find a link in the show notes. For more content between podcast episodes, follow Hurdy Gurdy Travel Podcast on Facebook and X. Follow Justin Vacula on Instagram. Subscribe to Hurdy Gurdy Travel Podcast on YouTube for daily content, including travel videos, podcast clips, community, and posts. On with today's episode, recorded August 17th, 2025. Thanks for joining me, returning show co-host, Darren.
Hey, Justin. Always good to be back.
Happy to have you here as we have some new credit card news. I'm back from 2 cruises and with a new computer following various issues. So I'm ready to record home after a lot of travel and now a short break.
It's been a busy summer, right? You've been traveling. I've been traveling. I've been working. Kids have been off. Kids are going back to school soon. There's new credit cards out. The ultimate manufacturer spending, tuition payments are coming due. Yeah.
That's good. The classic travel hacker's dilemma, travel and other things interfering with other things.
We say it's a dilemma, right? But how lucky we are to have all these options to be able to travel. How do we say it? At low or no cost?
Oh, yes. Travel at low cost with points and miles.
That's easy. People say you're not the guy singing it, Justin, but I don't know. You and I talked a little ahead of hand, of course, a little pre-call plan on this episode, and talked about the wait list on this Alaska card. This premium card had been rumored for some time, but we'll get into that, of course, in just a few minutes. Excited to talk about another way we can earn, or at least selfishly, I can earn Alaska miles, which have become more and more valuable to me all the time.
And hopefully will help others learn and earn and burn and churn.
I see what you did there. I like it.
Yeah, so we signed up for this wait list. I think it was something like 5K miles, 10K miles for signing up. And allegedly, when this card comes out, we're going to get bonuses on top of bonuses, a wait list bonus, a welcome bonus, various benefits with Alaska Airlines. And their loyalty program has survived largely intact and valuable, while others gutted their award charts. It may or may not be renamed. We'll see about that going forward. The partner redemptions, especially for international travel, I think are still very strong, that you can use Alaska miles or points to book with partners. There's code sharing with American Airlines, and you've taken some international trips, right?
I have my eye on Condor business booked with Alaska Mile for an upcoming trip to Southeast Asia. So working on that. Brian Connell, friend of the show and occasional member of the Philly Points and Miles meetup group.
Greater Philadelphia Travel, credit miles.
There we go.
I need to re-listen to episodes.
Anyway, he travels to Thailand a fair bit for family reasons. And so he had pointed me towards that, and I'm appreciative. So I've been keeping my eye on that. Of course, I'm always chasing 5 in business with our family. That's truly the travel hacker's dilemma, Justin. How do we get 5 up front? Got a couple things I'm working on. We got 5 there in Singapore, Jay, on the longest flight in the world, Newark to Singapore. So excited about that. But anyway, back to Alaska. Sorry, I took us off.
Oh, that's right. So that's the value of using miles and points for international travel, especially flying in business. And we could do that with Alaska. Historically, the Alaska credit cards have been okay, probably. Nothing earth-shattering, probably. Mostly about a welcome offer, a companion fare, the famous or maybe infamous companion fare, a free bag maybe, and some bonuses, but not many interesting spending categories or perks. But this new premium card, it looks like Alaska is finally stepping up to compete with the quote unquote ultra premium or maybe even just premium credit cards like the Chase Sapphire Reserve, the Venture X, the new City card or cards, some rebrands, redesigns, and even other airline cards with United, AA, and Delta. So I think with these rumors, these screenshots, what we've seen, it seems credible. This was shared by Tim at frequentmiler.com, suggesting some of the benefits and the structure of this new card. So this is August 17th, 2025, a recording. Maybe the new card will be like this, maybe not, but the information we have so far, 5,000 bonus miles with Alaska just for opening the card, and 100,000 bonus miles after 6,000 spend in 90 days. A global 25K companion award included in the offer, and then potentially bonus if you signed up on the wait list for this card. $395 annual fee and many benefits. So let's start, Darren, with 100K Alaska miles. What might that be worth? What might that sign-up bonus be worth?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think I think a couple different people try to put a value on that. I think Frequent Miler is certainly one of them you mentioned earlier, and I think they come in at 1.6 in that range, 1.8. I think that's one of the more valuable airline miles by itself. And I think you can get that value, and this is maybe unusual for some of the airline miles, right? You can get that value both domestically, right, by booking some of these cheap American airline code share. Last year, I flew down to Nashville for 4,500 points, maybe 7,500 in first from Philly to Nashville. So that was a great trip, great use of miles.
Okay.
And then, like we talked about earlier, you could do round trip from East Coast to Frankfurt, Germany, for example, on Condor. That'd be a code share. You could do something more, a little further distance one way, right? So I've been looking at the Bangkok to East Coast US. That's 85K on Condor going through Frankfurt in business. Certainly cheaper in economy if you're interested in that. Maybe you can snag an exit seat or something like that and stretch out a little bit. So I think there's tremendous value here. Again, I'm thinking $1,500, maybe $2,000, depending on what your travel looks like. A reminder that Alaska does have a partner booking fee of $12.50 one way. So if you book a round trip ticket, it'd be $25. One way is $12.50. That's non-refundable. Alaska, otherwise, those points are refundable, I think up to the time the flight actually departs. Really nice flexibility there. And you mentioned earlier, Alaska is one of the only airlines that hasn't devalued. And of course, maybe that's related to the recent merger with Hawaiian and some oversight from the SEC or other governmental organizations that basically said you can't devalue your program right after you guys get together. So
Not in that situation.
Not in that situation. We're in it for the long game, Justin. Yeah. So that's that seems to be, or that's been speculated to be part of the foundation here to keep the value of the points. And of course, there was the loophole where we could transfer membership rewards into Alaska through Hawaiian for a little while. That's of course ended, unfortunately, but they're still built as a transfer partner if you're doing that. But otherwise, really the only way to accrue Alaska miles is through new credit card signups. And this is, I think, an interesting card, especially now that the last couple of years I haven't been able to, and I don't think anyone's been able to churn the cards like we once did to generate those points.
And some spend from the BOA Alaska cards as well, but as I said, they're not too impressive past the sign-up bonus or for ongoing spend. At least I don't think there are better options than that, probably. And there's 100,000 miles, maybe even a conservative floor of around $1,000 to $1,200 in value. And of course, with transfer partners, with better bookings, you can get even more than that. So a $395 annual fee for 100K points, that's really nice. And this offer, again, is a rumor or a leak, maybe intended for employees. The public version might be lower, but even if it's 80K, 70K, 60K for a sign-up bonus and the benefits largely remain, I still think that's pretty good for a credit card, for an airline card. At least having the card for 1 year and then canceling, downgrading, or making a decision in year 2 if the annual fee doesn't make sense to keep paying for. As I've talked to some people newer in the game, they get really scared about the annual fee, and I usually say that in the first year, it's usually an easy decision with many cards. You're going to pay an annual fee, but then once that annual fee posts for the second year, then you have a decision. And with most issuers, you get 30 days to make a decision. So if you decide not to keep the card or product change or downgrade, you're not responsible for paying that $395 in year 2.
I think that's a good reminder, Justin, that of course the credit card companies would prefer that we keep these cards open, right? They like to see some history that we're not just opening and closing cards, but you and I have both opened and closed cards fairly frequently. And we're still, and banks are still approving us. And we're doing some other things that make us look like valuable customers, and they're happy to continue to have our business. I think generally speaking, like you said, folks are worried about things that probably don't need to be worried about. If you have interest in flying on Alaska Metal or some flights online, you can even go on, sign up free right now for the Alaska app, right? And start looking around and see, where could I fly on Alaska with Alaska Miles, and just see, hey, I was thinking about going here next year or next summer or this fall.
Yes, and you've used award search tools to make this process even easier and find the more valuable redemptions, right?
I have. Seats.aero is certainly one of those that usually does a pretty good job finding award availability through Alaska. Points.yeah is another good one. I like to play around sometimes as well if I have flexible bookings. For example, Flight Connections is good. So, for example, if I'm trying to fly that Bangkok to East Coast US, maybe it's Bangkok to Frankfurt to Boston, Bangkok to Frankfurt to Toronto. And then if I have to do a cheap economy flight from Boston to New York or Toronto to New York, that's not a big deal because I've flown 95% of the time in business when it really mattered.
Oh, nice. And if you go to Boston, of course, you can ride the T with MBTA, Boston's favorite celebrity, Purple Princess Perry, on Instagram. So shout out to her, past podcast guest. Lots of P's and lots of fun. A terrific time.
If I end up in Boston, I'll be reaching out and making sure that I get all the inside scoop on the Boston public transport.
Make a connection to make a connection.
Yeah, exactly.
And back to the Alaska card, it has interesting ongoing earnings. 3x points on Alaska and Hawaiian Airlines spend, is my understanding. 3x on dining purchases. And here's one I don't think we've heard before. 3x on foreign transactions or foreign purchases or overseas purchases. I've used the Altitude Reserve 3x mobile wallet while overseas, which also has no foreign transaction fee. But unfortunately, that card is devaluing later this year, so we're probably downgrading, and we'll have an Altitude Connect, an Altitude Go, or Cash Plus if they allow that. Some more unhappiness there. So the Alaska credit card that's coming out, according to this, 3x could be useful for those foreign transactions and a guaranteed coding. I was talking to past podcast guest Mark Kaczynski, and he was lamenting being overseas and is this place going to code as a bakery or restaurant? What's it going to be? So for this card, just to have 3x on foreign purchases, I think is nice. A little bit of peace of mind, a little bit of a quality of life upgrade, and you'll get your points there. 1x everywhere else. And a 10% rewards bonus if you have a Bank of America account, perhaps a checking account, a Merrill Edge investment account. Not sure how that's going to be. So America loves math. The 3x sounds like 3.3%, and the 1 will be 1.1%. And you can also get Alaska status with spend. 1 status point per $2 in spend. America still loves math, so 0.5% return in status per dollar. So how does this compare to other cards? We have the Amex Gold for 4x dining, the Chase Sapphire Reserve for 3x dining, 3x travel, but that 3x is also going away later this year, is my understanding, at least on most travel or generic travel bookings. The new City Strata Elite card, they have the 666 promotion. They should have perhaps collaborated with Iron Maiden for the Number of the Beast on that one. So on dining, this is competitive, but I don't think this is a card you would use for all of your spend. Maybe in the categories and maybe spending towards status. And also maybe those who have access to, let's say, powerful portals for quote unquote dining spend might like this for 3x or 3.3x on quote unquote dining spend. And maybe there can be other creative spending that goes on with this 3x in foreign purchases.
I'm just excited to have a card we can use in the world tour, Justin, finally. An international card. Yeah. That rewards all these stops, even the occasional speedway head along the way.
Ooh, soon enough, I think you might get the Hard Rock MasterCard, and then you could dine at Hard Rock cafes around the world, as I have, using the Hard Rock Unity points in Poland in many other locations.
I like it. I'm curious. I know you have dabbled in some offshore gaming.
Ooh.
The 3X International is great for folks that travel a lot. Maybe you're doing some business travel, or maybe you're just an expat, lives overseas. It seems like that would be excellent, right? Potentially excellent. You can earn status as well as if you're using a dining 3X or 3X International. But I'm curious whether those of us that are going to be spending most of our time in the US, is there an opportunity to spend money overseas, carded as overseas, and how long does Bank of America will be interested in supporting something like that?
3x uncapped, maybe it's not a game breaker. At 3x, I know there's been some consternation, some war on happiness with maybe some creative lift spend when it was 8x, or we had the Summer of Hilton promos with American Express, where at one point there was a very high return in grocery, and there was some adverse action, some clawbacks, some problems there. So yeah, we'll see what happens with the 3X and whether they would tolerate action from overseas gambling websites, how that would code. Is it going to just code as entertainment? I don't know. We'll see whether we make a run at like mybookie.ag or some of the other sites that may or may not accept credit cards. Of course, gamble responsibly, use credit responsibly, and be concerned about risk of gambling on these overseas sites that may or may not just steal your money and make up things. So I'm currently not on them, but I have dabbled in the past.
Just a little dabble, just a toe.
Yes, and I also have chatted with a friend who's with a Nerf business called Blaster Guy. They buy some stuff from overseas and then resell it. They repackage it in the US. So for some businesses that might do things like that, could be a benefit for this card.
I think there's some benefit here, certainly for the first year, and then depending on what else you have in your wallet, right? So do you need this card and other cards, but that bonus at dining? Maybe you're Seattle based or Hawaii based, in which case it could make a lot of sense to keep this card. Maybe you're looking to earn status levels, right? Not only with Alaska, but maybe you're going to match over to One World status. I think maybe there's some benefit there, and we can talk about that next, maybe. What do you think?
Yes. And that 3x dining is the 3.3x if you have the Bank of America relationship, it seems, if these leaks or rumors are correct, and the progress towards status. So you get 10K status points at account anniversary. That's pretty decent, but it might be weird because it's not based on the calendar year. So if you sign up for this card in November and then you get the 10K at the end of the year, that's not really helpful to get you to the next level. Then that's strange. We were talking about that with some of the casino cards as well. So you want to time those pretty well. The new MGM Iconic card, for example, there's a tier at the sign-up bonus, so you might want to wait until January to sign up, whereas in the past I was saying sign up in December, maybe wait until January. You get 1 status point for every $2 in spend, as we mentioned, for this Alaska card. And here's my understanding of the Alaska status levels. I don't have Alaska status, but this is just what I'm seeing. The MVP status is 20K tier. So the 10K status at account anniversary gets you halfway there. And also One World Ruby status. MVP Gold is 40K. One World Sapphire status. MVP Gold 75K is surprise 75K. One World Emerald comes with that. MVP Gold 100K. One World Emerald. And you're more familiar with the One World program, and you added that to the show notes.
I did. There's been some other cards. I think, Justin, you might have one of these cards.
The Qatar or Cutter.
Yeah, the Cutter cardless card comes with, I believe, gold status to start with, which matches over to One World Sapphire. And the nice thing about that is you get access to business lounges when you're flying on One World. So there's some benefit there if you can make it to MVP Gold at 40K after your first year. As you indicated, you have a number of America Loves Math examples here, Justin. You get your 10K anniversary points and then spend
20K.
20K. Is that right?
Yes.
You get 20K.
One status
yeah, you get
for $2.
Yeah,
Why not? Why not make it?
Right. Got to make it complicated. You get MVP, which is Ruby, which is fine. You should be able to select preferred seats, which is a nice bonus. You're flying domestically, certainly. And then at 60K spend, that's the number I was looking for. And you get MVP Gold. And that matches to or aligns with One World Sapphire. I think there's probably the sweet spot for a lot of folks there that allows you to access the lounges when you're flying on One World, as well as the reserve seating and priority boarding and all that sort of stuff. And if you want to go the next level up, like you said, with 75K, I do appreciate how Alaska names them and puts the name in there, so you know, but it's a big jump in spend, 130K.
130K in a year. Hopefully we get some big credit limits so we can actually spend this. I was chatting with Destination Jackpot, a friend of the show. She got approved for a US bank card recently and a whopping $3,000 credit limit. Womp, so much for the 0% APR.
Sad trombone for sure.
We want you to use the card, but just not that much.
Right. We like you, but not that much.
So how about the super extra credit? Spend about $180,000 to get the higher status of MVP Gold, 100K. Yeah, the math is a little bit wonky here. You're getting the 10K, and then it's $2 per status point, so maybe about 190K, 180K, somewhere around there, and then you're going to get some from actually flying and maybe some other ways to earn the status.
Yeah, there's a number of good articles on the different Alaska tiers, if that's what you're looking for specifically, but really they're only applicable, in my opinion at least, if you're flying quite a bit on One World or you're flying on Alaska Metal. And that's probably going to be our West Coast-based listeners.
Yes, hopefully we got the math right. But I know Scott Steiner, Braun Breaker from WWE, they were talking about some Steiner math recently, saying you're 35, you're 40, you guys are about 100. So I guess we can have a little bit of an allowance here with the math.
If Alaska would take that same approach, you're about 35, you're 100, I'm good. I'll be happy to take MVP Gold 75K instead of MVP Gold. That would be wonderful.
The dogs are barking. So the card lets you buy status through spend in a way, or you're getting status as a bonus in addition to the points that you're earning. So there's a bit of an opportunity cost if you're only getting 1x or 1.1x versus other cards that might give you 2% everywhere and maybe additional when you're making a payment. But for the more intermediate to advanced listeners who have lots and lots of credit card spend in creative ways, then you're just going to need more cards to get more spend in. So as usual, the answer to everything is more credit cards. I imagine people new to Miles and Points, they're not going to be spending $60,000 on a credit card in a calendar year. You'd probably be better off getting multiple cards and multiple sign-up bonuses. But for those who have very large spend and spend in creative ways, then maybe it could be worth spending around $60,000 on this card, especially if you get a high credit limit. But if you get a low credit limit, that can be very dangerous activity. If you cycle your credit limit, you might get shut down for doing that. And by cycling, if they give you a 4K credit limit, you run it up to 4K, you pay it off, you run it up again during the same statement. Banks generally don't like that, and you can get shut down. So be careful out there.
Yeah, Bank of America Your miles may vary, of course. Bank of America is one of the, I guess, still few remaining banks that, for whatever reason, and maybe personal cards might be different here, but at least on the business side, seem to be somewhat tolerant of that. So I think anytime that the airline gives us an opportunity to spend our way towards status, I appreciate what you're saying about opportunity cost, and I think it's an important thing to remember. But just the fact they're giving us a shot, right? We just want that shot. Just got to give us a shot, Justin.
Give us a shot. The situation.
And for those folks that value that status, whether specifically with Alaska or with One World generally, now they have a couple options to get there in addition to the Cutter card. There was some talk previously of the JAW card as well, where a variety of ways to spend to get to status. So I'm happy to hear there's another potential opportunity here. Again, we don't have the public details. This is a leaked link and screenshots, but it seems like it has a good framework that is pretty exciting.
It's definitely appealing, and we'll get into more about this card and more of what we've been doing. But a quick break first. If you're enjoying today's episode, don't forget Zorkfest 2025 coming to Las Vegas, December 5th through the 7th at the M Resort Casino Hotel. Zorkfest combines miles, points, and gambling content all in one weekend. I'll be there speaking and connecting with the community. Grab your ticket at zorkfest.travelzork.com and come to Vegas with me. I'll also be speaking at Chicago Seminars Hyatt Regency O'Hare event, November 7th through the 9th, 2025. Use the promo code Hurdy Gurdy when buying a ticket to support me. Also join me from October 24th through the 26th, 2025. Chicago Seminars Holiday Inn, Chicago Oak Brook. Use the promo code, Darren's favorite promo code. I must have a promo code 20 for $20 off tickets.
The best one ever.
This episode is also supported by Card Pointers. If you have multiple credit cards like me, because the answer to everything is more credit cards, Card Pointers helps you automatically activate bank offers and know which card to use at checkout for maximum rewards. I just learned today that Aldi sells gift cards, and there are certain Chase offers for Aldi. I'm not going to call it Aldi's. Some people just add an S at the end of certain things. It's not Aldi's. It's not Ocean's Casino. It's just Ocean. Card Pointers saves me time and money. I'll use my link, cardpointers.com/Hurdy Gurdy Travel for a discount on annual and lifetime plans. Cardpointers.com/Hurdy Gurdy Travel. And a quick reminder, I also host free monthly Travels and Points meetups in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania. The next one is August 24th, 2025. If you're local or want to make the trip, it's a fun, casual way to talk point strategies, meet like-minded travelers, and share ideas. RSVP at meetup.com/Philly Miles and Points. Link in the show notes for August 24th and future meetings.
What's that group called again, Justin?
Greater Philadelphia Travel, Credit Miles and Points.
Yeah, I'll write that down so I can forget it next time again.
Put it in the show notes. This show is listener supported, and you can help keep it going by joining me on subscribestar.com or becoming a channel member on YouTube. Memberships start at just $5 a month for the tip jar level. Keep your credit cards active. And higher tiers include perks, private one-on-one conversations, discuss card strategy, creative spending, and much more. It's a great way to support me and get extra value in return. Find the link at hurdygurdytravel.com or in the show notes. Back to the Alaska credit card discussion. Lounges and Wi-Fi passes. This is interesting. You get 2 Alaska lounge passes every quarter. So pretty easy math there. Potentially 8 per year. Free lounge passes, I think pretty interesting. 2 Wi-Fi passes every quarter. And America wants to know, do they expire at the end of the quarter? Are they issued every quarter? How do they work? Time will tell.
Can you bank your Wi-Fi passes? That'd be nice. I'm just thinking about, I got 5 people that fly with me, right?
Thing, man. Situation.
I
was using my Hilton quarterly credits to buy Hilton gift cards and essentially extend them, but of course they took that away. So no more of that. You just go to the Waldorf Astoria in Las Vegas and park in New Jersey before you fly and do some other interesting things. These Alaska Lounge day passes, I believe, are sold for around $60. I wouldn't pay $60 to go in an Alaska Lounge, but maybe would pay $15 or $20. So 8 visits a year potentially for maybe $160 in value per year. Of course, you have to use them. There could be breakage quarter by quarter. Will they just add them to your account and last through the calendar or membership year? Time will tell.
It's a great mystery for everyone, Justin.
Yes. If you apply for the card on December 20th, do you get the quarterly passes and they just expire December 31? War on Christmas?
Yeah. That's how it is for American Express Business Platinum card. Your personal platinums, FHR, Dell credits.
We can also use it to our advantage on the other end. Oh, look, the annual fee posts on December 20th. So then in January, we'll use the benefits.
Good old triple dip.
Better than Triple H.
It is. It is.
And I've liked these lounges. Maybe some people lament the chicken thighs, or some people who incorrectly call them chicken ties. It's nice to have the airport space, a quieter place than the boarding area, the free alcohol, as the band Ailstorm, not to be confused with Hailstorm, says the alcohol is free, and many other perks of the lounge life, a quieter space, drinks, food, and more. I really like the Chase Sapphire Lounge in Philadelphia. When there was this announcement about American opening a new lounge in Philadelphia, I said, who cares? The Chase Sapphire Lounge is great. So maybe some in Seattle, as you mentioned, or other airports that have the Alaska lounges, or perhaps they partner with other airlines. These lounge passes can be nice.
Yeah, my wife has family that live in Alaska, and I think everyone in Alaska has some sort of Alaska card for that free companion pass we talked about earlier. So be interesting to see how many folks are interested in this as well. I don't recall entering the Alaska lounge, but it's been a number of years since I've been up there. The one interesting thing, again, about lounges here is if you spend your way to MVP status, or MVP Gold at least, and match over to One World Sapphire, you would have access, or you will have access to the business lounges as long as you're flying One World. So I think there's some advantages there if you're going to be spending a lot of time at airports, or you just like to spend time in airport lounges. As Justin, I know you like to start your vacation early as possible.
Yes.
By getting to the airport as early as possible.
Yeah, it's funny. My Uber driver will sometimes ask, what time is your flight? And I tell them, oh, it sounds like you're at the airport early. Yep, going to the lounge. We have some other benefits of this card, the rumored benefits, the leak. A $50 voucher if your Alaska flight is canceled or delayed by 2 or more hours. Interesting, and possibly stacking with rebates from Alaska if you happen to email Alaska and you get a rebate from them, unless they claim that it was out of their control. Couldn't control that. Oh, it was bird strike. Oh, it was an act of God. Oh, it was this, it was that. Potentially a $50 bonus for delays or cancellations. Waived same-day change fees. Normally, this would cost maybe $50 or more to do that. That's nice, especially without status. So that's just something you get just for having the card. Free checked bag for you and up to 6 companions on the same itinerary. So family-friendly, but is it only Alaska Metal? Do you need to book with the credit card? Are miles bookings eligible? We have questions, and hopefully they have answers. We'll find out. Waived partner booking fees, so no $12.50 fees, no $3.50 fees. And the classic TSA pre-check and global entry reimbursement every 4 years, because you want more of those.
Yeah, I think I could probably at this point gift TSA pre-check and global entry to my whole street. It's holiday season.
Yeah, here's a postcard from Darren. TSA.
Yeah.
The global entry, as far as I know, waives this whole real ID thing. So that could be nice.
That's correct. It's funny you mentioned that. When we dropped my daughter off at college, we gave her global entry cards so that she would have real ID available in case she wanted to catch a flight to come back or head somewhere else. Yep, I think it's another easy fit. And hypothetically, if you used to pay your bills at Walgreens, it was nice to have a couple extra numbers on there for Walgreens employees.
Quote unquote.
Yeah, pay your bills.
The manager just comes out of nowhere and starts yelling at you and claiming you're not supposed to do that, not in that situation.
Yeah,
when you happen to do creative things at photo kiosks that may or may not work anymore.
What do you want me to do? I got a business.
bills.
I'm just paying bills.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I try to make some phone calls paying bills, and they say, "Oh, don't you have a checking account that you could pay this with, or you could use our app to make the payment?" Oh no, sorry, I've had technical difficulties. That's why.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. Me too.
All right, we have Companion Awards, an annual global 25K Companion Award. So perhaps a flight that costs fewer than 25K miles. And then if you spend $60,000 in a year, you get a global 100K Companion Award. So that's on top of earning the status, 60K spend in a year. So for those intermediate to advanced people out there who have a lot of creative spending, high spending, maybe some business owners, that could be interesting. The language suggests that these tie into award redemptions, not cash fares. So that's good if it can stack with points, unlike some other companion fares or passes. If it's like a flat discounted points for a second passenger, that could be good. Unlike getting bond void in a way where, oh, you can't really use this cert because we jacked up the prices of all of our properties. You're out. Sorry. We're sorry. So sorry. But again, lots of unknowns. Are certain regions excluded? Are there blackouts? What are the dates on this? Dave Ramsey claimed that you couldn't fly to Belize using miles and points, and then it's almost impossible to use points. Oh, we got to call it here. There might be one thing that's excluded. Oh no, it's over, Darren.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like the idea of these 100K, 25K. The question, like you said, I think the big question in my mind is, will they be basically, if I want to book a 35K flight, can I use 25K companion award plus 10K Alaska miles or Atmos miles or whatever we're going to call them? It calls out. Yep.
Into the unknown, into the atmosphere. What's it going to be?
That's right. Or is it going to be like some of our hotel awards where even if you're going to use, you have a limit, maybe Marriott has a limit, right? You can only add 10 or 15K points on top of the certificate. So I think that'll be interesting. I think the other thing with the 60K spend in a year after your first year, that should get you to MVP gold, right?
Ooh.
And MVP gold, I think you also get, no, I'm wrong. It's gold 75 where you get 50K miles.
We'll let the listeners do the math on that one. $2 per status point plus minus the 10K anniversary.
Yeah.
So you got to catch them all. Got to have all the airline.
Yeah, got to catch them all. There you go.
But this isn't bad. I think around a $400 annual fee, getting all these benefits, getting the welcome offer, maybe a keeper card, maybe not. But I think year one is looking really strong. And compared to some other cards with the higher commitments, higher annual fees, this seems more mid-range in the annual fees. So maybe West Coast frequent flyers will like this, Hawaii vacationers, or people in Hawaii going in between islands. Maybe those who like these partner redemptions. I think Bank of America might be lenient with approvals, pulling probably TransUnion in Pennsylvania, but do check the MyFICO forums for recent data points. I know BOA can sometimes be strict on the business side and they want you to have a checking account or an existing relationship or make a security deposit to open a business credit card in some cases and hard pull you twice and then delay the process and then claim they need to pull you again, even though it wasn't my fault. Oh, classic stories.
Hypothetically.
But the personal BOA cards, I think the approval was pretty easy. You probably want to be in the mid 700s with your credit scores, probably TransUnion. Having a BOA personal checking account might help, and that boosts rewards, as this rumor or leak suggests. So maybe sign up for a BOA personal checking account first, a Bank of America personal checking account. Maybe you can also get a $200 or $300 bonus for opening the account, connecting a direct deposit or depositing cash, and then apply for this Alaska credit card. So I think that there's a good amount of appeal here. Maybe if you fly Alaska or Hawaiian at least a few times a year, you want status, you'll use the lounges, the bag benefits, the Wi-Fi passes, or you could use your Dell credits and get a Nintendo Switch and play that. Or
there you go.
You want these premium cabin awards on partners. I think, again, at least good for year one, and you could decide about a keep, cancel, or downgrade later. So probably skip it if you aren't going to fly Alaska. I think that's pretty obvious. if you already have higher annual fee cards with lounge coverage. So there is a little bit of redundancy. Does the Alaska Lounge really matter to me if I have access to many others and they're in those same airports? If you're not interested in the fixed currency, so we do like flexible points you could transfer to many programs, but with this, it's stuck in Alaska. And I think if you're early on in the game, maybe you wouldn't want to get this card. Maybe you would prioritize Chase cards, Capital One Venture, Barclays. And the question is, Darren, might it be worth a Chase 524 slot? And can you quickly explain the Chase 524 rule?
So Chase, in their infinite wisdom and trying to deter the churners, not you and I, Justin, of course, would like you only to have 5 credit cards, personal credit cards, in a 24-month time period. So you can only apply for 5 credit cards. So those slots become pretty valuable, as folks know, and we've talked about on the show before. We sometimes go through these aparamas where in a short period of time, we apply for a number of credit cards and to try to accrue those sign-up bonuses. Chase doesn't want us to do that. Yeah, so the question is it worth it? And I don't know, man. Like, it depends, right?
Yep.
I think for you and me, I think we're well past. And so even if we're thinking about holding back and trying to get under 524, I'd certainly make it part of the next Apparama should we get there and back to 524 again. Alternatively, if you're early on, again, I would encourage you, if you're thinking about taking a trip, if you have a trip planned or you're planning but have not purchased tickets yet, again, get on the Alaska app or on the website, click miles redemption and put in some city pairs and see what that looks like for you. And if you can get where you need to go for $100K and maybe get free Wi-Fi on the flight, I think that has a lot of value to a lot of folks. And so I think this is going to be a pretty popular card, even at the $400 annual fee level. Now, whether I'll renew it, so full disclosure, I'm planning on applying if it comes in anything close to this.
Oh, all right.
Yep, I'm in. I'm all in,
He's
Justin.
in. So it's going to be the Alaska Premium card, the MGM Iconic, the Caesars Prestige, at least 3 in the next Apparama, hopefully 6 or 7.
Probably not the City Prestige.
No, the Caesars Prestige.
Oh, Caesars Prestige. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, Caesars, Comenity / Bread Financial. Yeah, I'd love to get city cards, but unfortunately, they don't love me to get city cards, let's say.
Lifetime Achievement Awards.
Lifetime Achievement Award, yes.
Yeah.
And a Capital One Venture X would be nice too. That's all I want for Christmas is a Capital One Venture X, but they're not approving us either because we're just too deep. Our credit profile's too thick.
I think they should open their minds. I think thick credit profiles have some advantages. We're going to spend lots of money with their cards and
lots of spend. Yeah.
We're going to get those transaction fees.
Yeah, maybe lots of F Nova group spend as well. Come on, everybody
loves F Nova group.
Nova. Yeah. That would go with the Atmos. F Nova,
there you go.
Supernova.
I like it.
I was listening to the band ISON, and they have a lot of space-themed music. So maybe this works out for the Alaska. It could be on that playlist. If you get your free Spotify premium through the My Vegas games, that's been a recent thing. All the deals. Yeah, so that's good. So you're on board if the real card, the real release comes out something close to this. I will very likely get it, but I recently Apparama'd in July, so I might have to wait until January to get this card, which might make sense anyway, that the 10K anniversary bonus post at the beginning of the year rather than mid to late year. We're recording August 17th, 2025. So if we get a 10K tier boost towards the end of the year, that's probably not going to be meaningful.
No, probably not. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the timing on this roll out. Yeah, I'm with you.
That'd be so ridiculous. It releases December 1st, and then everybody says, oh, I'm just going to wait until January to get the 10K bonus anniversary status. What a silly thing. Like the bad rollout of the new Caesars credit card. You can't apply for the new card if you have the old one, and then you just couldn't upgrade, and then customer service telling me to call customer service. But Bank of America is not the best with tech, and the whole bill pay system is horrible. So hopefully BOA upgrades their technology and does sensible things with the release of this card. Confidence in Bank of America. I really don't. I have more confidence in Banco Popular de Puerto Rico, really. Sorry, BOA.
Yeah.
I guess we ruined that show sponsorship, but that's okay.
Yeah. And some folks are still reporting the opportunity to pay BOA with a rewards earning debit card. It takes some work, some social engineering,
Some life
minor
support.
degree. Yeah. It's definitely in the ICU, that's for sure. But it's still there. There's still some data points out there. Whatever those earnings are on this card, it's a BOA card. Could you add 2% on top, maybe?
Ooh.
Again, I think there's a lot of, for me especially, a lot of benefits to this card. Again, Alaska is not the only other way to accrue Alaska miles is spend on the other two Alaska cards or transfer from Bilt. And they have not had a transfer bonus like they've had for other airline miles. Otherwise, I would have 0 Bilt points at this point. I've dumped them all in there. I did dump a bunch in through Hawaiian, but for me, who doesn't have access to American Airlines miles and living in Philly or flying out of Philly a fair bit, American Airlines hub, having this alternative is really valuable for me. And like you said, the international redemptions are really valuable as well. So I'm continuing to accrue a lot of Alaska miles. Alaska's been a valuable airline partner for a long time. And I anticipate it'll stay like that, at least in the intermediate term here, as they have an obligation, it seems as if an obligation to maintain value of their points as part of the merger deal with Hawaii. So hopefully that stays that way.
I think there's lots of promise here. I think one of the more interesting airline cards that has launched in recent years, I think this can be a good card, even with an annual fee about $400. I think a clear winner for year one for many, and then we'll just have to make the keep, cancel, downgrade decision in year two. But it might be worth keeping it, especially if the status is available and you'll fly Alaska a good amount.
Yep, agreed.
All right, so closing here, we mentioned in the beginning that you were traveling. So where were you? What were you doing? How did you book it? All that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Actually had 2 separate 1-week trips earlier in July and into August. The first was a family trip. So myself, my wife, and our daughters flew to Greece, Air France. Again, not the cheapest way to get from New York or the East Coast of the United States to Athens, Greece. But it does consistently have 5 seats in business, is what we were looking for. So unfortunately, we did not fly the new updated seats, but the old seats were still lie flat. And really what I'm looking for when I'm going across the pond is to catch a couple hours sleep so that when I get to my final destination, I can stay up, I can spend a few hours and then pretty quickly adjust to the new time and not get much of that jet lag. Those were transfers from membership rewards, Amex membership rewards, to Air France. We flew JFK, Charles de Gaulle to Athens both ways. While in Athens, we spent some time, of course, in Athens, seeing the Acropolis. We drove out to Delphi, where the famous oracle predicted many things and gave some sage advice, depending on who you were rooting for, I guess, back in the day. A lot of museums, which my oldest daughter really enjoyed, and my wife and I did as well. And then the 2 younger ones really like spending time on the beach. And so we found a little island called Hydra or Idra, pretty close to Athens by ferry, where they don't have any cars. It's a small island. And they use donkeys or mules to transport most of the cargo and the luggage. Really enjoyed that. It was a great place to swim and relax for a couple of days. And then came home, went back to work for a week. And then my wife and I went to Bonaire, which is one of the 3 islands off the coast of Venezuela, the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. Bonaire is probably most famous for its scuba diving, and that's what we did. So spent a week diving and catching up for our 20th anniversary. So really enjoyed that. We booked that with good old Justin. I finally got rid of United Travel Bank. No, that'd have been even better. That'd have been even
Korean Air to the ABC.
That'd have been awesome. Yeah, no.
United Travel Bank. All right, that would have been number 2
United
on
Travel
the Family
Bank.
Feud.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. We're happy to do that. Splurged a little bit there, flew up front, both my wife and I, and had a wonderful trip. There are not a lot of points hotel options on the island. There's actually one, I think, that just became a Hilton property and maybe some SLH properties, but we stayed in a independent place called Bamboo Bonaire. Easy for me to say. Easy for me to say. Yeah. A boutique property. That was the other B I was struggling with.
Okay.
And had a wonderful time there.
Did you bring a blanket as well?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You just took them off the flight.
took them off the flight. We did not take any
okay.
flights off. No, no blankets off the flight. No. Ended up cashing out some U.S. Bank travel rewards through FNOVA and other sort of taxi opportunities, and just paying for it that way. So that worked out fine, as there were very good point options. So that's been my travel. We just dropped oldest daughter off in college. Actually used some more U.S. Bank travel rewards redemptions there. There were no point hotels remaining, as you might imagine, on move-in weekend in college.
Yep.
We did not have our acts together, and I usually would have booked ahead separate nights and then just canceled whatever I didn't need. But we're able to get one through their travel rewards center and some cash and some points there. So that worked out well.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
You might actually keep the altitude reserve because you
I know.
US
That's what
Bank
I'm
travel.
saying.
Oh,
I know. I think we'll probably keep one. 3% is still pretty good, even if we don't get the rewards like we used to. And of course, the cap will be challenging. But for organic spend, I think it's still a useful card. I know, Justin. I know it's not fully
it's
optimized.
multiple devaluations on the card.
It is.
It makes me a very sad panda. Can't
It's
have
not
it
personal.
all.
It's not personal. You
Oh.
can't take it
It's
personal.
like my
You still got to find the
it's like
value.
my second favorite credit card.
I know.
I promoted
It's
that card
yeah.
so much, and they didn't even give me a referral link or anything.
I
still
mean,
have the
there's-
original box with the magnet on it.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. It's a great little writing tablet in your car if you're hypothetically filling out money orders while you're driving around.
Of course,
yeah,
yes, or in
yeah.
the Fulton Bank drive-through because
Yeah.
they closed the lobby.
Exactly.
Yeah, I could do the archaeological dig. Oh, look, this is box from 10 years ago. Oh, what's that about? We did some fun
Yeah.
things back in the day.
We did.
In my
And-
days, we used to go to Walgreens and quote
the good old days.
Yeah. Always
So-
fun with the hobby, and that's what keeps me going. People ask, "Oh, you've been doing this for a while, and how does it hold up?" I said, "I still have fun. This is cool. It's cool to be on here and travel and chat." And
Well, there's always more stuff, right? As they say, when city closes a door, Chase opens a window, right? That's how that saying goes. So
and
It's
an
the same.
arcade in Philadelphia airport.
yeah, exactly. We talk about this new card. You and I, we've been using some of these cards and really leveraging their value for years now. All good things eventually come to an end, and so the opportunity to open new cards, find new opportunities, leverage new plays, and continue to be able to travel at low or no cost. Right? I think that's the line. So,
The situation of what happened and everything else, that's what dictates that.
that's exactly right.
And I'll be traveling. I'm going to Atlantic City August 25th through the 29th. There's going to be another 10x tier credit multiplier. So my ascension towards 7 stars, and maybe or maybe not with the Atmos and in the atmosphere and the strata, that all continues. So video poker in Atlantic City, August 25th to the 29th. I will not be playing poker at Borgata because they once again raised the rake. They eliminated multiple tables from their poker room, and they made the cage situation even worse. I reluctantly have been going to the Borgata poker room, and I come in thinking, wow, this place gets worse every time I go here, and it just keeps getting worse. So I played one orbit. I saw the dealer take additional rake. I asked about it. They said the rake was raised, and I cashed out. And the player said, "Are you serious?" Yes, I'm serious. It's over at Borgata. But video
And don't call me
poker
serious.
eras,
No.
Super serial. Yeah. So Atlantic City, August 25th to 29th. I love you, MGM Rewards, but Borgata Poker, the second worst poker room I've ever played in. No exaggeration. It's just so poorly run, and they don't want to change it. It just keeps getting worse, so no more.
You think U.S. Bank hired Borgata Poker customer service to evaluate
It's
their
just so
card
horrible.
strategy?
They
Said
removed
multiple
tables.
evaluation.
They combined the poker room with horse racing, and the windows are now shared with the horse bettors. So the cage has always been a problem because it's not been adequately staffed. Sometimes they just close the cage and you have to walk across the casino to cash out. You have to buy in at the tables, and then the floor says, "Oh, we have chip runners now." Okay, that's still a problem. The cage isn't open. So Atlantic City, August 25th to 29th. And I'll also be attending the FT Events Loyalty Summit and Awards Dinner and the FT Awards in Chicago this September. That's Frequent Traveler University, the Frequent Traveler Education Foundation, the FTEF. I'll be working more with them and Frequent Traveler University, and I'm now a board member with the Frequent Traveler Education Foundation. So
Congratulations.
Thanks. Stay tuned for future announcements about that, more information. And I was on the Frequent Traveler University YouTube channel on a cruise news episode talking about my many cruises this year. 7 cruises this year. So it's been quite a ride. And I've uploaded all the cruise content to my Hurdy Gurdy Travel Podcast YouTube channel as well. The recent Alaska cruise, the Norway cruise, Amsterdam and Rotterdam as well. So lots of videos up there in between podcast episodes.
Yeah, I know you've been cruising full here lately, so it's been fun to watch and follow you along as you're traveling the world.
Travel at low cost with points and miles. I'll take up singing at a later time, perhaps. Thanks for joining me, Darren.
Thanks for having me, Justin. It's always good to catch up and look forward to catching up again soon.
Thanks for listening and stay tuned for future episodes. Some closing announcements. For more content between podcasts, follow Hurdy Gurdy Travel Podcast on Facebook and X. Follow Justin Vacula on Instagram, Vacula, and subscribe to Hurdy Gurdy Travel Podcast on YouTube for daily content, including travel videos, podcast clips, community, and posts. Search for Hurdy Gurdy Travel on subscribestar.com or become a channel member on YouTube to support my efforts, starting at the $5 a month tip jar level. Receive special perks at higher subscriber levels, including private one-on-one conversations about card strategy, creative credit card spending, and more. Find links at hurdygurdytravel.com. The website udio.com created the podcast intro and outro music. It's not me singing. In the intro and outro, it's not me singing. AI features of the website Descript helped me edit and improve audio quality. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.
Travel at low cost with points and miles. Credit card rewards bring the smiles. Many adventures, tales to be told. Make and save money, the world will unfold. Fight the war on happiness, pick up the gold. Hurdy Gurdy Travel Podcast breaks the mold.